everybody. This is Nicole here with The Living Well. Today I have a special guest named Kelly Craig, and she is a codependency coach. I'm super excited to have her here today. She actually works with women who have basically had enough living the lives that have just been handed to them, but really want something more, and they're willing to pursue a different course and overcome codependency. So thank you so much for joining us, Kelly. So Kelly is going to tell us a little bit about her own journey and what led her to becoming a codependency coach in the first place. So we look forward to hearing a little bit about that.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm so happy to be here. I feel blessed to be able to be here with you today. So as Nicole said, my name is Kelly Craig. I am an adult child of alcoholics. I was born into pretty much a divorced family. By the time I came around, my parents split when I was 2, and my sisters went and lived with my dad, and my brother and I stayed with my mom, and she was pretty much devastated through the divorce. My father remarried early, right away, pretty much. So he moved on with his life, and she wasn't able to move on, and the alcohol became pretty much her norm. And so growing up, I was alone and did not really have someone to care for me. I have 2 sisters that are older who tried their best to take care of me, and they weren't even really able to take care of themselves. So anyway, through my life, I didn't have any self-esteem, and I always wanted attention, I guess. So even in school as a little kid, I would fake injuries and, just for attention, and didn't even realize that that's why I was doing it until later in life. I became a mom very early and was a single mom by the time I was 24. So I left their dad, who also was an alcoholic, follow the path. And they were 1 and 3 when I left. So I was struggling. I ended up meeting someone when they were like 5 and 7. I did end up getting married and moved in with him and his parents. And it was a very narcissistic relationship with his parents, who tried to change who I was and wanted me to live the life they felt I should live and raise my children the way that they wanted me to raise them. It didn't work. I did stay for 7 years faithfully, as a codependent would, to try and hang on and make things work, and ended up having to leave. And when I did that, I had wanted my husband to come with me, and he refused. He felt that he needed to stay with his parents. And so I ended up a single parent again when my kids were 13 and 10, or 13 and 11. So from that point on, I was working in a mailroom, not feeling good about myself. I was extremely negative. I had nothing nice to say about anything. And I got to a point when I was about 39 where I couldn't even listen to myself talk. Nothing nice came out of my mouth, and I had lost God and just didn't have a path. And I was living in fear that something was going to happen to my children. I would panic when they left the house. I couldn't control anything. And as a codependent, that's just not, I need to be in control, because I was the only one in my life to take care of me. So control was huge. And having 2 kids who are going out in the world and you're not there for them was super hard. So I was talking with my sister one night on the phone, and I told her how I was feeling, and she said, you need Louise Hay. And I said, who? And she said, Louise Hay, hang on, I'll go get her book. And she sat and she read to me parts of You Can Heal Your Life. And the first chapter, Louise says something which struck me. Sorry, my dogs are trying to come in the room. And that was, a thought is just a thought, and a thought can be changed. And I was like, wow, so I can literally change how I think about myself. And if I don't like something, then I can think a different thought and go in a different direction. And so I was able to give up smoking cigarettes. Went to the gym. I ended up as member of the month. I became a health and fitness coach. I had promised myself when I was 20 and I had gotten pregnant with my son, I quit college. So I enrolled myself back in college and I homeschooled myself. It took 2.5 years. I took 24 courses and determined to get my degree, and I did. I graduated and I was able to move out of the mailroom at my company and become a software quality test engineer. Today, I am now leading a team of about 10 people from around the world, launching products out into the marketplace for this company. And I've been able to teach and really motivate my coworkers. And that kind of led me on a path through my spiritual learning, really back to what does God want me to do, and why am I really here? And so I took my healing from my codependency and I said, I really think this wasn't done to me as a bad thing, that I've been looking at it that way for so long. And since I've been able to heal and turn my life around and, be able to earn really good money, buy my own home, and just enlighten people and, turn a frown upside down, why not turn that into helping women who have gone through some of the same things with low self-esteem and self-worth, um, and help them on their journey with what I've learned. So that's where I'm at today, with that, why we're here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
That's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about, you talked about healing yourselves. Is that a work that you did on the inside?
Yep.
What did that look like for you? And what is it that you teach your students?
Sure. So with the premises of a thought is just a thought, what I learned is that we are energy. We are here on this earth. We're all connected through energy, and we're on a vibration, and you can raise your vibration just with thought. So if you're feeling down, literally you could look around and say, wow, that is a beautiful sunset, and just be able to feel differently. And took that into my day-to-day practices and use those thoughts all day long when I'm being pressured or someone else is angry or whatever, to just be able to kind of flip it and not absorb what they are feeling and take it on me, and be able to express a higher energy to them and turn them around instead. But it started with learning about how do I feel inside, and playing kind of a game with my thoughts, recognizing, okay, that wasn't a good thought. So what could I do to make myself feel a little better in another thought, and tell myself, it is a beautiful day, and look at the sky, and just get that trigger going so that the bad thoughts, whatever they are that I'm having, kind of disappear. And then what I found was they come less and less and less the more and more you put out the good energy and the good thoughts. The bad thoughts kind of stop. But also, I had to do a lot of deep cleaning inside. So, some of the things that happen, like you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like this thought of something bad that had happened to you, and I wanted to make them go away. So in order to do that, it's like you're carrying weight and you're carrying these things that had hurt you. And what I found was forgiveness is a big thing,
Mm.
and not saying that what anybody's ever done to you was okay, but maybe they didn't know, or they learned how to do what they were doing, and forgiving them for that without even having to tell them. But what I did was I basically wrote a letter, and I would say, hey, X, you did this, this, and this. It made me feel this way, but I know that you had a rough life as a child and you're only doing what you were taught to do. So I forgive you for that. And then either keeping it, ripping it up, or burning it, you're just, the weight is gone. And I know that you talked about like cutting the cord, and being able to visualize cutting that emotion off. And it just helps you to move past it. And then you find that those thoughts don't come up as much anymore.
So true. So this is such a fascinating concept because a lot of people, I have a lot of clients who tell me my brain is out of control. The thoughts just swirl, especially if you have CPTSD. Your brain is just constantly going because the brain never stops thinking. Even in your sleep, the brain is thinking. So, it's not thinking that's the issue. The brain was created to think, but it's the negative thinking that causes anxiety and depression and makes us feel so bad. But a lot of people don't feel like they have control over it. But you and I know that you can actually shift the way you look, the way you think, and control your brain. So every part of your body really is under your control. And if you practice, then you can actually train your brain to think differently. Because you've been thinking negatively your whole life, right? Because you were in a very difficult situation, that you actually trained yourself to stop that thinking in its past. And you're practicing gratitude is what you were doing. You turned your attention by ignoring the bad and turned it on what was going well for you. It was a perception shift. So powerful. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
So I guess the other part was the inner child work. So healing little Kelly. I wrote a book. It's called Healing from a Loved One's Addiction. And in starting to tell some of the stories of how I healed myself, I got with the editor and she said, you really need to kind of give a background on your life so that readers will understand when you're explaining the story where you came from. And part of I start off with was I have memories of myself in my crib. Now, being in a crib as a baby is not something that most people would normally remember. However,
Right.
I've spent so much time in my crib that I have vivid memories of being in there, rocking back and forth and moving the crib over to the door to be able to try to open the door to have somebody come and let me out. So, just from there, like a lot of in between that is kind of blank for me, but that is one thing that I can pull up in my head at any time. So I read about healing your inner child and being able to do a meditation and quiet your mind enough. I got a picture of myself when I was, about 2 or 3 years old. I'm sitting on a step. It's in the book. It's super cute. And it's little Kelly, right? So I closed my eyes and just did some deep breathing. And I visualized this little girl. And I could hear her say, I'm scared. I'm alone. No one loves me. And be able to say to her, oh, baby, it's okay. I'm here and you are protected and you're not alone. And that is never going to happen to you again. And, being able to sit in a chair and just hold this little girl in her feety pajamas and a blankie and just rock her and feel her and give her love was one of the most healing experiences I've ever had in my life. And it made me feel okay again. And that I am loved, and that I could accept that even if I don't look like the most beautiful woman on the face of the earth, that it's okay because I'm who I am, and I want to accept myself for who I am. And I don't need to pretend to be something I'm not, because I am perfect in God's eyes the way that I am. And so, and just being able to own it was not something I was ever able to do, and now I can. So
I love that. So each of us has this inner part of ourselves, right? This child. And some psychologists will say that if you're traumatized, that well, for going back to the crib scenario, when you're traumatized, we do remember those memories. So it's probably wise because you were traumatized. And so those memories come up. But some people will argue that the inner child stays the age when we were having some major trauma in our life. So it could be 13 or 4 or 6, whatever. And most of us, whether we realize it or not, the majority of us did not have, well, none of us had perfect parents. So at some point, something went wrong, and we ended up having what we would consider a traumatized episode. And then we got stuck emotionally in that state of mind from an emotional perspective because we didn't know how to cope. So the brain checks out, and they call it the splitting, and it's very complicated. But the reality is, it's a very therapeutic component to be able to go back as an adult to that time in your life when you were powerless, right? And you didn't know how to handle it, and you didn't know what to do to help yourself overcome whatever felt like a major trauma to you, and then sit with yourself in that space and make peace with it and say, okay, that happened, but I'm here now, and I'm going to protect you going forward, and I don't have to be afraid anymore. We're going to deal with this, and we're going to keep it from happening again.
right.
And it does. It moves you out of a victim mentality into an empowered person who's in charge and has an opportunities and the wherewithal and the ability to overcome whatever life throws at us. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. So mostly everybody has some element of this and can benefit from doing this inner check with yourself and thinking about. And I recommend working with someone like myself or like Kelly, who can help you navigate through that experience because we've been there, who can hold a space for you so that you can sit and go through that journey with someone else and have the support you need. Somebody that can help. I always like to say a coach is like a kickstand, right? They stand up and they can hold you up when you need that extra boost until you're able to start getting your equilibrium and go on your own. So wonderful. So that's great. So now you work with clients to help them boost their self-esteem. How does that practice look like for you? What exactly are you currently doing? What would you like to see going forward?
Sure. So I have one-on-one coaching available, and so we just sit and talk on Zoom and kind of do introductions, and then what is it that they want to focus on, where do they want to go, and then help them with the mindset, with self-love, and with healing their inner child, to get them in a place where they can move forward. And then I have a group on Facebook called Healing from Codependency, where I've got an amazing community of people, both men and women, mostly women, who are engaged and lifting each other up, and just sharing information, asking questions, and people are giving their honest answers. There's no beating anybody up. There's no, everybody, I believe everybody is on their own journey and heals in their own way. And you can take in what others have to offer and use what you want, and don't use what you don't want. But there's no judgment for whoever's on their path to wherever they're going. And then coming up in January, I also have a 3-day immersive Healing from Codependency and Finding Self-Love seminar that I'm going to be doing, live online. I'm excited. So if anybody is interested in that, they can certainly reach out to me and I can give them a link. It'll be $297, but it'll be 3 days live
Well,
and well worth
awesome.
it, I think. So, yeah.
We're going to put the link to your book, the link to your website, and possibly the link to your group in the description so they have access to that as well.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our show today, and I'm really excited to have you back again.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be it for today, everybody. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.